It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome back to the Douglas Coleman Show, J.M. Shaw. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Nice to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
We looked it up. You were on in October of 24, so 6 months. Is that about right?
Yes, that sounds right, yeah.
Okay. And at that time, you were promoting your, is it Callum Walker?
Callum Walker series, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I see there are 2 books that are already out. So this is the 3rd book in the series?
Yeah, The Fractured Veil is the 3rd book in my Callum Walker series. The first being The Ascension, second one being The Convergence, and then the 3rd one, The Fractured Veil.
Okay. Is that going to be it? Or do you...
No, I have a 4th one coming out here in a few months. It's Forsaken Souls.
Okay. How many do you think you're going to write in this? Is it going to just...
I don't have a specific number. I know where the series is going to end. I'm just not entirely sure how many books it's going to take to get there. I'm aiming for around somewhere between 6 and 9.
So you've got all that in your head? Or is it written down?
I've got most of them written down.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's... How long did it take you to do that?
The rough drafts don't take me very long, anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months. But the editing process for every single one of them can take 10 months to a year or longer.
You know, it's funny, out of all the authors that I've had on this show over the years, I have never gotten a similar answer as to how long it takes them to write a book. The fastest one I've ever heard was 2 weeks. To write 80,000 words.
Oh, wow.
And the longest one took 32 years to write one book.
Wow. I guess it just depends on, life situations, how motivated you are. I guess I consider it an advantage. I can hyper-focus like nobody's business. My ADHD and my autism are a tool that I employ. And when I get into the zone, I can type out, 60,000 words in a sitting.
Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. So give us a little bit of a overview of the series. I know we probably did in the last interview, but in case people didn't hear that one, just tell us a little bit about this series generally.
Yeah, so my series has our world, our time. There's a coexisting magical realm, but there's a veil that separates us. And we can't see or cross this veil because as humans, we don't have magic. But these creatures from this realm that do have magic, they can cross that veil into our world. And they've been the inspiration for our mythologies. My main character, Callum Walker, is a young man who was born in our world. He's human. He was born with the ability to use magic, and humans don't have magic. And he doesn't have anybody to talk to. He's trying to figure it out. He doesn't know why he has these abilities, and he's trying to make the most of it. He ends up crossing the veil and becoming embroiled in what's going on in the magical realm. And then through the series, we see him trying to figure out who he is, where he fits in, because he's too magic for our side, but too human for that side, and to master these abilities to survive this world that's very much over his head.
So is he human?
He is, but we learn a little bit more about his heritage as we go on, and we do eventually learn that he's a little bit more than just human.
Okay. Do you give backstory as like his parents or where he came from and anything like that?
I give, I'll tell the reader what they need to know to understand, but I don't have an actual story that I've written out. It's all just sort of in my head, and it's all connected to everything else that's going on.
So we don't know if he had a mother or father, or if he just
we do find that out. Yeah, but we don't know.
Okay.
I don't write a second book to portray their history, but I do present their history throughout.
When you say there, you mean his family?
his family's history. There's other characters in the past who had some influence on what's happening today. I don't write stories about them. Like I don't go and do their in-depth analysis and their in-depth a novel specifically for them. But I do bring their history forward and I do present it so that we can understand that this is what's happened to them in the past and this is how it's influenced to this day.
Okay. Where did this story come from? I mean, what inspired you to start writing this?
Yeah, so I'm very big, like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. I like the Supernatural TV series. I've always really been an out-of-the-box thinker, but I think the big inspiration for this one is the old Merlin tales. I was actually watching a Netflix series called Merlin, and it's kind of sparked an idea, and I've ran with it. And it wasn't even necessarily the Merlin tales itself, but it was just something about that story that inspired me to write my Callum Walker series.
So are you planning on writing anything else, or are you just going to keep going with this one until it runs out and then start a new one?
Well, I may or may not be at this moment writing a futuristic dystopian that's sort of a or sort of a Robin Hood meets Romeo Juliet with hints of Hunger Games, but not confirming that just yet.
What would you compare this to? You said Lord of the Rings.
It's
Harry
got
Potter.
A lot of elements from here and there. So I like the political systems that were presented in the Game of Thrones, and each one of my beings and their societies have their own political systems, motivations. Some of them have their own religious systems. But I also like this big epic battle and journey quest type thing that they do that is presented in the Lord of the Rings. I'm a big fan of good versus evil and good triumphing, but maybe not right away triumphing. It takes a bit. Otherwise, it's not realistic.
Are you self-published?
I am.
Okay. How did you find that process?
It was a huge learning curve. I went from, being a mom that, I stayed at home to now all of a sudden I've got to learn all the ins and outs, and there's a lot of details. Everything from where do you get your ISBN numbers, and every book has one in every format, to how do I don't like the word marketing, so I changed that. Marketing is a scary word, so I said, and how do I tell the world I exist? I like that phrasing a lot better.
Well, so how do you?
I make a presence for myself. I have, I'm trying to show the world that I'm creative, but I'm also a real person. I attend a lot of book signings. I am very eager to help other aspiring authors by telling them, this is what I did. I don't know if this is what's going to help you, but this is what I did. And if it doesn't work, you can try it, or you can kind of find another avenue that might work better. And just being open and honest about who I am and my creativity and trying to be kind and helpful.
I've spoke to other authors who are members of writing groups. Are you a member of any of those types of groups?
I found it where I'm at. It's a smaller town, and I did attend the writing group, but it was less about writing and more Tuesday night coffee, let's get together and visit type thing. So I'm still looking for a good writing group to join where we can talk about the mechanics of writing. How do we find 20 different ways to say sit? Those kind of things.
Oh, I see. It was more like a social club than...
It was more like a social club, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you also said you were a mom. Are you doing anything else besides being a mom and being a writer? Do you have a different kind of a job, or is this what you're doing now?
No, I'm fortunate to be able to stay at home. I homeschooled my boys for many years and got to a point where I can't make friends for them. So they're recently, this is their first full year that they're going to be in school. And beyond that, I am learning piano, studying for my Royal Conservatory tests. I'm a big fan of nature, so I'm outside a lot, running, hiking, and doing all that kind of stuff. And I babysit, so I'm busy.
That sounds like enough.
Yeah.
I think more than enough, actually. Okay. Has this book been released?
The first 3 books in my series have been released. My 4th one is not yet released.
Okay. And I guess the last question before we wind this down is, do you have a website that you want to give out?
I do. I have a website. It's www.jmshawauthor.com. I have my Instagram, Facebook links. There's also an email, and under my books are all listed there with links to find them online. An events page will tell you where I'm going to be in the future.
Okay, great. Do you do a lot of in-person book signings and things like that?
Book signings, in-person book signings. Who doesn't want to go out there and tell the world about your passion? So I would love to do more just author talks and events. I've gone into some schools, grade 5 classrooms, and talked about fictional writing.
Well, J.M. Shaw, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It was nice talking to you again. Best of luck with your book series and everything else you're doing.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.